No matter what they say, bookmakers are not warm, cuddly creatures. They're dispassionate, calculating, and they've reached a decision. Wigan, Wolves and QPR are going down. Do you agree, Dave?
I do with them on that point, yeah, and we're sitting here on the settee a couple of months ago, and those were my three to get relegated. I've got to say, I think Wolves' chances were increased when they sacked Mick McCarthy. That is a club now that's in free fall, and some of it's been created by themselves. The other big thing is that the two who have benefited recently have been Bolton and Blackburn, and particularly Blackburn, they're big players like Yakubu scoring goals, like Paul Robinson in goal, and Junior Hoylett. They have really dragged them out of there. And Steve Keane looked as if he would be the weakest manager in the division in autumn time, and we were all wondering how long would they stand by him. Those star players at Blackburn have really lifted them out of it, and I think you would see Blackburn staying up as being sort of fifth bottom.
Well, Wolves do look a bit of a kamikaze club at the moment, don't they? Terry Connor doesn't really fit the bill. Do you think the board will actually accept that they were wrong and go and find someone like a Steve Bruce?
Well, you can't rule it out now, can you? Although I would possibly think that it might be too late to go back for Bruce, given what Steve Morgan's been saying on the steps of Molineux to disgruntled supporters. But, I mean, they will panic again. It's 1 win in 14 now. It's a mess. They're losing games that they'd be banking on, and they needed something out of that game against Blackburn. Connor, there was no logic in any of that. You get rid of Mick McCarthy, you clearly need to go for a clean break, and you need a manager who can come in and do a red-a-dare job until the end of the season. Ending up appointing the number two, who's part of the same system that was failing beforehand, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. For whatever, you know, Terry Connor might be Wolves through and through. He might be been at the club in various different roles, but you need a new start, and they didn't get that. So I can see them going back in and trying to find someone else, but who's out there who might come in and save them? They look like a team that is rudderless at the moment, and everything that can go wrong is going wrong.
Remember, Mike, they were speaking to other people. They thought they got Alan Kirby, for instance. But when he looked at it fully and was asking some key questions about long-term strategies, he pulled out of it. So, and that was a more attractive job when Mick first went. You know, you look back 2 or 3 weeks, if you were going to get somebody, that was the moment. And the way it's gone on and the way that people have been conducting themselves, for me, it's looking as if they're going to be dead in the water pretty soon.
You've got Roger Johnson, who I think is still the club captain, turning up unfit to train. Now, what does that say about the collective discipline?
Well, I think that is horrendous, isn't it? What an example to set. I know that Terry Connor said we've disciplined him and we move on, but blimey, when you've got your club captain doing that sort of thing, I think it says so much. It completely undermines the manager for me. And I think it's been a huge mistake. I think it was a farce in the first place. I go back to the fact that they should have stuck with Mick McCarthy. I think he would have got more points than the recent run of games since he's been subsequently sacked. And you're running out of games, basically, and that's for all the bottom clubs at the moment. And you look at Wigan, they're perennial survivors, aren't they?
They're playing lovely stuff, but they're not creating. They're not converting chances.
The problem that the Wigan have, every time they're written off, they go and get a result like they did yesterday, and they could have easily nicked all 3 points. I still feel that with QPR, for example, they're kind of, you know, suddenly Mark Hughes, that he's been made to look at as if he's made a mistake going there. But sooner or later, surely, without strike force, it's the best quality strike force down there for me, once you leave out Yakubu as the sort of sole striker. Surely Cisse and Zamora have got to score goals. And it is, statistically, as we know, the tightest relegation scrap for years. And I think it's going to go right to the wire. I really do. It's fascinating.
Hughes has this weird record at all the clubs he goes to where he starts incredibly slowly. It's usually like 1 win in 10, 1 win in 7, and he's having that run now. He's never been in a position where he's really gone into a club which was in that much of a mess when he got there. But I mean, presumably that will pick up, and they do have players there. You think the spine of that team is good enough to survive.
I think the problem is that I think that he's inherited a poor squad, hasn't he? And also, I think he wanted to make more changes than perhaps he was allowed in January.
And another difficult dressing room.
Absolutely. You look at Joey Barton and Sean Wright-Phillips. I think Sean Wright-Phillips has been hugely disappointing on the pitch. I think he had potential. He was a big signing for them. And he's been a disappointment. Joey Barton has been a disappointment on and off the pitch. he has completely let down QPR. For all the egotistical ramblings on Twitter and the rants and everything, he completely upset the Neil Warnock regime. I think he really let himself down. He's just got absolutely no shame about it. He's got to take a long, hard look at himself, and I just think he's got to shoulder an awful lot of responsibility as to where QPR's going wrong.
And is that one of the reasons, David, why there doesn't seem to be a great deal of sympathy out there for QPR? Look, they were robbed on Saturday with that, the goal that never was or should have been. Why are people so down on Rangers?
Because I think it's not just this year. I think it's the previous thing with the Briatore reign and their belief that with the ownership that came in, they could wave a magic wand and a chequebook and everything would be turned around. They've been very callous in hiring and firing people. They've recruited this bunch of players now, and it is an intriguing thing to see that at the moment they've not got a football club. The fans are a great football club there and have really been loyal to them, but the dressing room is not committed to that club.
Difficult times. Thanks for joining us on livetoPitch.co.uk.